Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhavaswa, Tatsavitruvarenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya tamso ma jyotirgamya mrityurma mritam gamya. Om सहना भवतु सहना भुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Om Shanti 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 Om. So last week we looked at Rishi Durvasa's life story, the role he played in Ramayana, in Treta Yuga, and the role he played with the Pandavas and Kauravas also. Generally, we think that Rishi Durvasa is very angry. He just gives, actually, he gives the blessings, but they seem like they are not blessings at the point, at that time. Later on, the person realizes that no, it was a blessing in disguise. So Lord Krishna, he saved Pandavas when Durvasa came over there with his 10,000 disciples. And Shri Krishna asked Draupadi to give me that food, what's in there? And there was only a one little piece of rice there. And Shri Krishna ate that and he got satisfied. That's why there's a common saying, Krishna tushtahe sarva tushtaha. When Shri Krishna is satisfied, everyone is satisfied. So later on, Shri Krishna narrates the story of Durvasa to his son Pradyumna. One day, Pradyumna, he asked Shri Krishna to tell him how Brahmins came to be respected. While narrating the story of Brahmins, he made a reference to the story of Rishi Durvasa. He said, long ago there was a Brahman in his house in Dwarka. He was brownish yellow. He wore clothes made of hemp. He held a stick of bilva, and stick is called dand. The rishis often hold certain kind of a stick. He had long beard and mustache. He looked very thin and tall. He would travel on the earth and in heaven. As he walked along, he would stop in a place where four roads meet and chant the following hymn. And the hymn was, who is there who can play host to Durvasa and keep him in his house? If anyone does any injustice to me, I will get angry with everyone, including animals. Even after listening to these words, if anyone is ready to give me shelter, such a person should not give me any cause to get angry. So no one came forward to give him shelter. But Shri Krishna said, I brought him home and gave him shelter. Sometimes Durvasa would eat food sufficient for 1,000 people. Sometimes he would eat very little. Sometimes when he left the house, he would not return for days. And sometimes he would laugh until his sides burst. Yet some other times he would cry loudly also. On such occasions, there should be none of his age to console him. The sage, who was away for a long number of days, came back one day, went straight to the room, got ready for his stay, burnt every object in it, including the maidens appointed to wait on him. On another occasion, he was performing severe tapa. And he said, Krishna, I desire to eat pies right now. As everyone knew his ways, all types of dishes would be ready. As I had given orders to the cooks to that effect, I offered Durvasa hot and tasty pies. Pies is like a kheer, rice pudding. After eating that, he asked me to smear whatever was left all over my body. And without a thought, I smeared it on my head and limbs. There he saw Rukmani and he asked her to do the same. I smeared on her body also the remaining paisam. So these are some of the plays Rishi Durvasa would do with his devotees, or even with the Lord Krishna. And then after that, he would give the boons also. He told Shri Krishna that you have conquered anger by nature. I have not seen any fault in you. I am really very happy. Ask for anything and it will be granted, my dear child. As I'm pleased with you, you can get anything from me. Vasudev, everything in this house which is broken, burnt, or destroyed will all be restored. And they'll be shining again. In fact, with extra brightness. He said, you have smeared that paisam I gave you all over your body, but I see that you did not put it on your legs. And I don't like that. Actually, Shri Krishna desired his end only through his legs. That's why he did not smear it on his legs. So there was a message over there in this little play between Rishi Durvasa and Shri Krishna. So Durvasa asked Krishna why he had not smeared on his limbs that paisam given to him at Prasad. He said, "O great sage, you are a great man. The prasad you gave me is sacred. How can I smear it on my legs? If I did so, I would be putting you to shame. So that's why I did not do that." When Durvasa heard this, he became highly repentant and said, "Krishna, you are a great man. I fumbled and cursed by saying that you will die only by an injury on your leg." Shri Krishna told him not to be repentant on that score. It will be good for me. When my incarnation should come to an end, I will meet my end only through my leg. And as we learned from Mahabharata, that's how Lord Krishna ended his life. There was an arrow shot into his leg. So it was Rishi Durvasa who was responsible for bringing out the greatness of the greatest devotee. There was another devotee of Vishnu. His name was Ambarish. Ambarish was the son of Nabhag of the Manu clan. He was a great devotee of Shri Hari, large-hearted, righteous, emperor of the entire world. He had immense wealth and everything to make him happy. But he did not attach much importance to material wealth. He considered the material wealth just like a lump of soil or just a dream. Ambarish had performed a large number of Ashwamedh Yagyas and worshipped Narayan with great devotion. In fact, Narayan in the form of Shri Krishna. He had considered every other thing of little value before the bliss which he had derived from being a devotee of Shri Hari. His mind was totally, completely fixed on Shri Krishna. And he detached himself from the worldly affairs. And the Lord was greatly pleased with the king's unfailing devotion and granted him his divine weapon. And we all know that weapon is Sudarshan Chakra. And the queen was also a great devotee. Once the king decided to observe Ekadashi Vrat. This is a fast. He decided to do it for 1 full year in order to please Lord Vishnu. Then the next day was very important in the observance of Ekadashi, and this Vrat was completed. He fasted for 3 nights in the month of Kartik, October, and worshipped Lord Krishna by offering puja in all the 16 ways of doing homage, served meals to Brahmins, gave countless cows as gifts. And then with the permission of the holy men, he was getting ready for beginning of the Vrat. At that time, Rishi Durvasa, who was capable of granting boons, but also giving curses, came to the king as a guest. The king received him in the traditional way, asked him to have food. Durvasa agreed and went out to have a bath. He had bath in Yamuna, chanting hymns in praise of God. According to tradition, the king had to eat before the auspicious time. By the time Durvasa came to his place, half the time was over. There was no possibility of Durvasa returning after finishing bath and his other rituals before his auspicious time was over. So King Ambarish was in a fix. He consulted Brahmins who were well versed in Shastras. It was a sin to eat before feeding a guest, a person who was a Brahman. On the advice of the experts in Shastra, the king just had a glass of water and began to wait for Rishi Durvasa. And he was meditating on God all the time. When Durvasa returned, after completing all the rituals, the king made obeisance to him. By then, the sage came to know that the king had broken fast by drinking water. He was furious. His body began to tremble with rage. His eyebrows became raised. He was very hungry. He spoke harshly to the king, who was standing before him with folded hands. What a great injustice he has done. And now look at this man who has become very proud as a result of his wealth. He thinks he is God himself. So these are the words spoken by Rishi Durvasa. He said, after inviting me over here to have food at his palace, he has eaten before serving the guest. Wait and see what will happen to him. He was trembling with anger. He pulled a hair and created a terrible demon out of it. The demon had a sword in its hand, and even when it rushed at him, he stood firm and cool. The Sudarshan Chakra, granted by Lord Vishnu, reduced the demon to ashes. When he failed in his attempt, Durvasa became nervous and actually he saw the Sudarshan Chakra, which King Ambrish had. And that Sudarshan Chakra was rushing towards him. He got frightened and began to run to save his life. The Sudarshan Chakra began to chase Durvasa as a forest fire would chase a terrible snake. He ran for his life, seeking refuge to Mount Meru, the sky. It did not allow him to rest anywhere. He was running towards the heavens, the oceans, the worlds. But finally he ran to Lord Brahma and he said, "O great creator, please save me from this chakra." Brahmadev said, "Lord Narayan can reduce the whole world to ashes just by raising his eyebrows. Every activity in this world takes place according to his dictates." But Durvasa was so frightened, so much in pain. He went to Kailash, to Lord Shankar, and he begged the Lord to save him. Bhagavan Shankar said, "O great sage Durvasa, neither I nor anyone, including Sanat Kumar, Narad, Brahmadev, or all the rishis put together, can help you, because all of us are under the power of the Lord. The disc that is following you is Lord Mahavishnu's Sudarshan. We cannot face it. You have to take refuge under Lord Mahavishnu." And when Durvasa heard Shankar's words, he lost all hopes of help anywhere except in Vaikuntha. He rushed to the place, fell at the feet of Shri Hari. He was definitely trembling with fear and implored, "The Savior of the world, please save me. I have sinned. I have done great wrong to your devotee. Please save me from your chakra. Please save me." When Shri Hari heard Durvasa's words, he said, "Say, Durvasa, I am helpless. I never go against the wishes of my devotees. Those who have surrendered to me have to be protected. My devotees are dearer to me than even Lakshmi, who resides in my heart. How can I ditch those who have renounced every worldly thing and have taken refuge in me?" So he was talking about King Ambrish, a devotee of that caliber. The all-knowing sages win over me by their unmatched devotion. How can I save you? I can suggest to you a way out of this danger. Listen to me patiently. Go to the person you have tried to do wrong. You go to Emperor Ambrish and beg pardon of me. May God bless you. So as directed by the Lord, Durvasa came back to Ambrish. His body was almost half baked by the heat emitted by Sudarshan. He was highly repentant, begged the king to save him from Sudarshan chakra. So you can see that sometimes knowing everything, having those kind of powers, we still end up making mistakes. But if we repent just like he did, he listened to Lord, came back, became humble, and he was saved. Because when Durvasa folded his hands before Ambrish, the king felt embarrassed actually. The king, who was kindness incarnate, he prayed. He said, "O chief of all weapons, which is a Sudarshan chakra, you are fire, you are sun, the moon, the five elements, and you are everything. I make oblations to you. please save this Brahman. So this is the humility in King Ambrish also. He said, you are Dharam, Amrit, Yagya, sustenance of the world, savior of the three worlds. No one has understood your greatness. Shri Hari has been using you to destroy the wicked and to protect the righteous. Please bring peace and prosperity to sage Durvasa. Bring him fortune and fortune for his family also. If I have done any good deed in my life, if I have given alms to the needy, and if my ancestors and I have respected Brahmins and served them, let Durvasa be freed from this curse. The Sudarshan Chakra was pleased with the king's prayer and Durvasa was saved. See, this is how, when we completely surrender to God, when we become devotees of that level, even God says, I am in the hands of my devotees. I even appear. So he praised the king wholeheartedly. Durvasa did. He said, today I have realized the greatness of the devotees, the power of the devotion. Even though I mistook you and I tried to harm you, but you have done me great good. So devotees always try to help others. That is one of the attributes of a devotee. Emperor Ambrish, I am blessed. You are kind and merciful. You have shown mercy on me and you have saved me. So Durvasa had taken 1 year trying escape from Sudarshan Chakra, seeking refuge in different places, finally returning to the king. But at the same time, all this time, that King Ambrish did not eat anything. It was a whole year. He waited for the sage to come back. At the end of this episode, he touched the sage's feet, begged him to become cool, and then he made him eat. Because sometimes we hear the story, part of the story, where Rishi Durvasa got upset, but this is the complete story. So both of them learned a lot from this. He gave him a sumptuous feast, and when the sage finished his meal, the king broke his fast only when the sage gave his consent. This was a great relationship between two devotees, actually. Durvasa was very happy. He realized the great strength of a devotee of Lord Shri Hari. He said, O king, you are the greatest among the devotees of Shri Hari. I am pleased and blessed in your company. Let the apsaras in heaven be constantly singing your praise and let it remain on earth forever. Then the sage showered blessings on the king. Getting permission from the king, Durvasa left for Brahmaloka. We read about Rishi Durvasa in Vishnu Purana also. In the 9th canto of the first part of Vishnu Purana, there is some details about Rishi Durvasa. Once while Durvasa was traveling around the world, he saw a garland of flowers in the hand of a maiden called Vidyadhari. It was made of flowers from Kalpavriksha. Kalpavriksha is a wish-fulfilling tree. Flowers from that tree. The garland was fragrant. Durvasa desired to have it and asked the maiden to give it to him. Vidyadhari made oblations to the sage gave the garland to him. Durvasa tied it to his matted hair and left the place. While Durvasa was traveling, he saw King Indra riding his Eravat. Eravat is that elephant, the divine elephant actually. Durvasa took out the garland of flowers from his hair and threw it to Indra as prasad. Indra picked it up, placed it on the elephant's head. The elephant, in a state of must, picked the garland and crushed it under its foot. When Durvasa saw it, he was very angry and said, "O Devendra, you have not respected this garland, which is the source of all wealth. You did not make oblations to me, and as you have not respected the divine gift, you are going to lose all your wealth in the three worlds. If I get angry, the entire world trembles with fear. You have shown disrespect to me as a result of your unbridled pride and arrogance." Indra was mortally frightened of the sage's curse. He begged the sage to pardon him. Durvasa was not in a mood to relent. He said, "Look here, Indra, I'm not as merciful as other sages. I do not have the quality to pardon others. Sage like Gautam pardoned you, and we know that story also. As a result of it, your arrogance has doubled. Even sages like Vishishta respect you and have given you an exalted position. As a result of all these, you have put me to shame. What more can I say except telling you that I am not going to pardon you?" So saying, he left the place in a huff. Indra lost all his wealth. He had to pray to goddess Lakshmi. And finally, Lakshmi is the one who restored him all that he had lost. Rishi Durvasa is in the Garge Samhita also. In the first chapter of Madhurya Canto of Garge Samhita, we get some details about Rishi Durvasa. Once Shri Hari was late when he reached the house of gopis. When they asked for the reason, Shri Krishna replied, "My preceptor, sage Durvasa, came to Bandhara. I had to play host to him, and that is why I am late." Then the gopis also wanted to have his darshan. But then there was a problem. It was night, and there was no boat to ferry them across the Yamuna. If Shri Hari is an ever brahmachari, and if you pray to goddess Yamuna to give way to, then she will certainly give way to you. That's what Lord Krishna suggested to gopis. The gopis did as suggested by Krishna. Mother Yamuna gave them way to cross the river. Gopis had prepared several different varieties of sweets and other items in the big vessels, and they went in that area where Durvasa was camping. They made oblations to sage Durvasa and offered him the various food items, and he ate it all. When the sage understood that their devotion was pure, he was pleased and said, "Gopis, I am an ascetic. I am satisfied with very simple things. I do not do much physical labor. Now you put a little of what each of you have brought into my mouth." So saying, he sat with his mouth open. The gopis were very happy. One by one, they began to put eatables into Durvasa's mouth. Before they knew, all those vessels were empty. Gopis began to stare at each other, and they were surprised. They touched Durvasa's feet, asked him how to reach the place where they could see Krishna. Durvasa replied, "It's very simple. Go with the same ease with which you have come here. Ask Yamuna. If it is true that sage Durvasa lives just on the juice made out of grass, if it is true that he does not touch other food items, you have to allow us to go across you smoothly. Gopis did as they were told, and they could easily reach the place where Krishna could be found. Now, Gopis were surprised. They saw Rishi Durvasa eating all that food. But still, the mother Yamuna gave the way for them to go back. They asked Shri Krishna when they came back. Shri Krishna said, one who has no attachment for anything he possesses. When a person is not proud, when a person treats everyone equally, a person has conquered love and hatred. He can enjoy the worldly pleasures without breaking the rules of dharma, and he thinks constantly of Brahma, and he is a brahmachari. And that's what Rishi Durvasa is. One who gives up every worldly possession, does everything in the name of God without expecting the fruit, is free from all sins. Just like water drops do not wet a lotus leaf, he is free from sins. Sage Durvasa is a yogi of that status. This is what Shri Krishna told the gopis. He ate all the eatables just to satisfy you, not with a desire to eat. In reality, he lived on the juice of the grass only. Rishi Durvasa is in Skanda Purana also. There's a reference over there which says that Durvasa spent years in the holy place of Kashi, performing tap and got enlightened. Once after going round the world, he came to Kashi. He was filled with the bliss and he liked the place. He chose the place for his tap, but God was not pleased with his tap and did not appear before him. The sage was very angry. He was about to curse the entire place. Lord Shiv, who understood his mind, appeared before him, smiling. But by the time the fire of the anger had reached the sky, all the gods began to tremble with fear. They came down to the place in such large numbers that there was no space left for anyone to stand and breathe freely. Lord Shankar stood before the angry sage and said, it's not false that Kashi is a place where people get salvation. Please do not curse that no one should get salvation in this holy place. Ask for anything you desire and it will be given to you. Sage Durvasa held his head low in shame for being in a terrible haste. He felt very sorry for his own behavior. He prayed to the Lord sincerely, praised the holy place profusely, and attained great wisdom. So from all these stories, we learn that Rishi Durvasa, sure, he was a Ansh avatar of Lord Shiva, the Shankar. But while playing this role as a rishi, he is teaching us a lot. The devotion also, control the anger also, become humble also. So it all depends what do we get from it. And tapasya also, austerity he did. He could stay hungry for a year. And he reached the level where he was totally detached from this material world. Because most people have the notion that Rishi Durvasa always gets angry for silly reasons and he curses people. Because that is, see, just like about Shri Dev Rishi Narad, we think he's just traveling around for nothing. No, he blesses everybody. He increases devotion in the devotee's heart. So all these great sages, there is a reason for their incarnations or their presence. And they are present in our lives also. We should not forget that many a times a curse by him brings about the welfare of the people. And in our lives also, sometimes we see that bad times are there. Nothing is working out. But if we keep the presence of Lord in our heart, keep that connection alive, stay humble, there's always a lot to learn. There's always a blessing which comes out from that hardship also. And Rishi Durvasa did not even have a little bit of a selfish motive in all of it. It is true that sage Durvasa used to deal with people harshly. That's very true. We saw that. We saw that with the King Ambrish also, even with the Lord Krishna also. But then we see the soft part of his personality also. Often he did it only to test the people, turn him out to be pure as gold. And that was indeed a great quality in him. So for our own progress, when we read the stories in the Purans, we should have the right perspective. Instead of judging these rishis, we should see why all these things happened. What was the message which we got from these stories? So we got to do the pranam to these great sages. And in these two classes, we learned about sage Durvasa. So pranam to him too, and especially when we learned how he was born. He was a God incarnate. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.